Hi my dears, a warm welcome to Salam's English vlog. How are you my dear students? All are right? Okay, today we are starting a new lesson from your fourth block entitled Braving the Hazards or Dealing with a Dangerous Situation. This unit consists of 3 lessons. The first one is an essay or an article written by Anjana Majumdar entitled Disaster Management of India. Then second one is a beautiful short story by A.J. Cronin. Right? Then third one, a beautiful poem by Benjamin Payne. It is about a world famous ship tragedy known as Wreck of Titanic. Okay. Remember these 3 lessons, these 3 chapters convey the same message. What it is? How to act promptly in a very dangerous moments in our life. We see tragedies are quite common in our life. So, we can approach all tragedies in 2 ways. One in a negative way. We can think about ourselves. We can save ourselves. That is the way of a coward. Another way, entirely different way. It is serving others. Thinking about others and try to save them. That is the way of God or the way of humanity. So my dears, we are discussing a lesson from the second unit. It is the Serang of Ranaganji. Anyhow, before the lesson, I have a question in front of you. There are 2 types of disasters. What are they? The first one is man-made disaster. And the second one is natural disaster. Can you please tell me an example of a man-made disaster?
Plane crash.
Yes. A plane crash. Recently happened in Kondoti, Calicut Airport. Okay. Then, would you please tell me some more examples for a natural disaster?
Flood.
Yes, flood. 2 years back, Kerala witnessed a great flood. Just look at the video. Okay, then second example for another disaster. Earthquake. Then one more please.
Tsunami.
It is tsunami, right. All these disasters are very severe. Just observe the video of tsunami. Question now here. When a disaster comes, what is our responsibility? Do we face the disaster? Do we manage it well or run away from it? What's our responsibility? Tell me. We should face it. We should try to save others too with us. Okay, my dears. In our lesson, the second lesson, entitled The Serang of Ranaganji, we see such a story. There we see a man with a divine heart, a man with angelic quality. What does he do? He tried to save others. His name is Hassan. അതേ പ്രിയമുള്ള കുട്ടികളെ, ഹസൻ എന്ന് പറയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു പാവം മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒരു സമ്പാദ്യവുമില്ലാത്ത, ഒന്നിനെക്കുറിച്ചും തീരെ പ്രതീക്ഷയില്ലാത്ത, എപ്പോഴും മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് വേണ്ടി സേവനം നടത്താൻ സന്നദ്ധനായ ഒരു നിസ്വാർത്ഥ മതിയായ മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ ആത്മസമർപ്പണത്തിൻ്റെ കഥയാണ് ദ സെറാങ് ഓഫ് റാണഗഞ്ചി. ഓക്കെ. Actually, remember here, the story has taken place in British India. In those times, regularly, traveling ships were going from India to England and back from England to India. Yes, this story The Serang of Ranaganji tells the personal experience of the writer A.J. Cronin. We know he was a doctor by profession. The ship was traveling from Liverpool to Kolkata, and lot of travelers were there, including merchants, businessmen, officials, soldiers, etc. Husband was a petty officer in that ship, and A.J. Cronin was the doctor. Suddenly what happened? There comes an epidemic, a severe epidemic like our corona. In those days there were no vaccines at all. So what happened? Doctor became alone in that ship. He was helpless, but there comes husband with an angelic heart. Oh my children, അറബിക്കടലിൻ്റെ നടുവിൽ 1500 യാത്രക്കാർക്കൊപ്പം പേരിന് പോലും ഒരു വാക്സിൻ സൗകര്യമില്ലാത്ത അവസ്ഥയിൽ പരിഭ്രാന്തനായി A.J. ക്രോണിൻ നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ സഹായഹസ്തവുമായി രോഗികൾക്ക് സാന്ത്വനമായി എത്തുന്നു ഹസ്സൻ. ഈ ഹസ്സൻ്റെ ജീവിതം നമുക്കെല്ലാം മാതൃകാപരമാണ്. So, remember the philosophy of love. Service to humanity is service to God. So my children, you all try to love your fellow mate and try to love all. Okay, my dears, look once again to the same screen. What is it? Anecdote. What is an anecdote? Yes, read. An anecdote is a real story about a real situation. Okay, before taking the lesson, you just open the last page of your textbook. There you can find a profile of A.J. Cronin. Just go through it. About the author, A.J. Cronin, 1896-1981, was a Scottish novelist and physician by profession. His major novels include Hatter's Castle, The Stars Look Down, The Citadel, The Keys of the Kingdom, The Green Years, Shannon's Way, A Thing of Beauty, The Judas Tree, and A Song of Sixpence. His strengths as a novelist are his keen observation, graphic description, and his narrative skill. The excerpt is taken from Adventures in Two Worlds, his autobiographical novel. It is an anecdote from his experience as a surgeon in the Royal Navy. Okay, my students, with A.J. Cronin and Hassan, we can start our journey through the great Arabian Sea. Okay, take your textbook, page number 112. The Serang of Ranaganji by A.J. Cronin. Look, my dear, did you ever in your life see such an absurdly comic creature? A smartly dressed woman, first class passenger on the Ranaganji, about to sail from Liverpool on the long voyage to Kolkata, made this remark in a high, well-bred voice to her companion as they stood before me on the liner's upper deck. Dear students, tell the meanings of the following words: absurdly, well-bred, and liner. Absurdly means ridiculously, abhasyamai. Well-bred, civilized or polished. Liner, passenger ship. Okay, dear students, what idea you have got from the first paragraph? The story begins with an exclamatory sentence. What is the sentence? Look, my dear, did you ever in your life see such an absurdly comic creature? Then who is the woman? I mean, the speaker. The speaker is a smartly dressed English woman. And she speaks in a well-bred voice. She speaks to her companion. They are all traveling from Liverpool to Kolkata, and they were standing on the liner's upper deck. Clear? Any doubt? So let us move on to the second paragraph. Okay. Following their amused gaze, my eyes came to rest upon a squat, very ugly native seaman with short legs and a large, disproportionate head. I recognized him as the Indian Serang, or quartermaster of the ship. He was quietly superintending the crew of Lascars, now completing the loading of baggage. Looks hardly human, agreed the man, with a superior smile. Inclines a chap to believe that dear old Darwin was not altogether wrong. Yeah? Answer the following question. Who is a Serang? A Serang is a petty officer in the merchant ship. What was the Serang doing? The Serang was quietly superintending the crew of Lascars. Next one. What was notable about the Indian Serang? Indian Serang was a squat, ugly seaman with short legs and disproportionate head. The meanings of the following words. Squat means short. Lascars, sailors. Chap, man or fellow. Okay. So my dears, the second paragraph clearly reveals the appearance of Indian Serang and what he was doing. Actually what he was doing, he was quietly supervising the crew of Lascars. And how was he? A squat, very ugly native seaman with short legs and disappropriate head. We see one more thing here. When the fashionable lady makes a very ridiculous comment about a poor man, Hassan, nobody questions her, and most of them even support her. And now we see a man tells that dear old Darwin was not altogether wrong. What does it mean? Who is Charles Darwin? Charles Darwin is the father of evolution theory. Thus, they tell that the forefathers of human beings are apes or monkeys, and men evolved from apes. It means that this man's appearance is like a monkey, so he belongs to apes family. Okay. ചുരുക്കത്തിൽ വംശീയ ആക്ഷേപം പോലെ ഒരു മനുഷ്യൻ്റെ മുഖത്ത് നോക്കി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ മനുഷ്യനെ ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അയാൾ മനുഷ്യനെ അല്ല കുരങ്ങനെ പോലെയാണ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ആ വ്യക്തിക്ക് എത്രമാത്രം പ്രയാസമുണ്ടാകുമെന്ന് ആലോചിച്ചാൽ മനസ്സിലാകും. ഇവിടെ ആഢ്യത്വം പേറുന്ന ഒരു വർഗത്തിൻ്റെ, വരേണ്യവർഗത്തിൻ്റെ, അതുമല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബ്രിട്ടീഷ് മുതലാളിത്തം പാവപ്പെട്ട ഇന്ത്യൻ അടിമയോട് കാണിക്കുന്ന വർഗീയമായ ചേരിതിരിവ് കൂടി ഇവിടെ പ്രകടമാണ്. ഓക്കെ. The voyage began favorably in calm, clear weather. We crossed the Bay of Biscay without suffering unduly from the turbulent waters and soon were through the Strait of Gibraltar, traversing the tranquil Mediterranean under azure skies. The Ranaganji was a stout old tub manned by white officers with an entirely native Indian crew. I was the physician of the ship and was delighted by the balmy breezes and brilliant sunshine. Paragraph number 3, important vocabularies and their meaning. Unduly, having a wave-like motion. Turbulent, tempestuous, stormy. Azure, blue, stout, strong and thick. Tub, a wide open container or vessel. The journey was begun. It was through the Arabian Sea. The weather was quite calm and clear. The journey started from Liverpool to Kolkata. The ship has crossed the Bay of Biscay to the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean Sea. We also find some details about the appearance of the ship Ranaganji. The ship was very strong and thick, controlled by white officers, but the crew were Indians. I mean, the ordinary Indian workers. A.J. Cronin was also there. He was the appointed physician of the ship Ranaganji. We here find the real picture of colonization, where the masters or the top ranked officers were white British people, whereas the ordinary employees were poor Indians. ബ്രിട്ടീഷ് കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ നിലനിന്നിരുന്ന അടിമ ഉടമ സംസ്കാരമാണ് ഇവിടെ പ്രകടമാവുന്നത്. ഈ കപ്പലിൽ മുതിർന്ന ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാരൊക്കെ ബ്രിട്ടീഷുകാരും സാധാരണ ജോലിക്കാർ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരുമായിരുന്നു. കപ്പലിപ്പോൾ മെഡിറ്ററേനിയൻ കടലിൽ എത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ. The ship was crowded, packed with passengers from stern to stern, the usual tourist and pleasure seekers, together with a large number of Anglo-Indian army officers, many of whom were accompanied by their wives and families. From the first night out, there was tremendous gaiety on board. The chief among the social promoters was Miss Job Smith, the woman whom I had overheard on the boat deck the morning of our departure. Paragraph number 4, word meaning: stem to stern, from front to the back, tremendous gaiety, a big enjoyment. Over here, hear something without the knowledge of the speaker. Dear students, 4th paragraph. Here we find a real picture of the ship. We may also get here a glimpse of the crowded ship. It was thickly crowded. Almost 1,500 travelers were there. Stem to stern here means from front to the back. From front to the back, it was crowded with people. മൊത്തം ജനങ്ങളെ കൊണ്ട് കപ്പൽ നിറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു. And who were the passengers? They were tourists, pleasure seekers, means സന്തോഷം അന്വേഷിച്ച് കണ്ടെത്തുന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ്. Then Anglo-Indian army officers and their wives and families. And how they were, what they were doing, almost all of them were in a celebratory mood. എല്ലാവരും കളിച്ചുല്ലസിച്ച് ചിരിച്ച് കളിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പാട്ടൊക്കെ പാടി they were in a celebration mood. Then here we find an important character. Who was it? It was Job Smith. The very first time we see her presence, but remember here, we already have heard her comments. When did you hear her? At the beginning of the story, we hear her comments about the appearance of Hassan. And A.J. Cronin overhear it. What is overhear it means here? Meaning, overhear means hear something without the knowledge of the speaker. സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ആളുടെ അനുവാദമില്ലാതെ കേൾക്കലാണ്, ഒളിഞ്ഞ് കേൾക്കലാണ് overhear. And anyhow, here we see Job Smith, and at the beginning we have heard her comments. And what was her comments? Look, my dear, did you ever in your life see such an absurdly comic creature? In the following paragraph, we find her details. Okay. Madge Job Smith was a thrusting person, obviously over 30, got up in a dashing style to look younger. She was not only a snob, but a beau, an assertive beau. We reached Port Said. Everyone went ashore excitedly, came back with silks, shawls, cigarettes, scent and jewelry. Then we were through the Red Sea, past the barren rocks of Aden, and out upon the wide Arabian Sea. Okay. Dear students, in this 5th paragraph, we see the appearance of Job Smith the very first time. A.J. Cronin tells that she was a thrusting person, obviously over 30. She was almost 30 years old, but she was a thrusting person. What is the meaning of thrusting person? Thrusting means forcing or pushing. ആരെ ഇടയിലും ഇടിച്ചു കയറി ചെല്ലാനും കടന്നു കയറി സംസാരിക്കാനും കഴിവുള്ള ആളാണ് thrusting person. And she was almost clearly she was over 30 years old, and she was in a dashing style. Dashing style indicate here a very attractive style to look younger. എപ്പോഴും ചെറുപ്പക്കാരി ആവാൻ 31 വയസ്സായി ഒരു 14-18 വയസ്സുകാരി ആവാൻ ആഗ്രഹിച്ച് വേഷം കെട്ടുന്ന ഒരു പൊങ്ങച്ച സംസ്കാരത്തിൻ്റെയൊക്കെ ഉടമയാണ് ഈ സ്ത്രീ. And she was not only a snob, but a bore, an assertive bore. Without any doubt, the writer tells that she was a snob and a bore. Who is a snob? Snob means one looks down upon others. മറ്റുള്ളവരെ പുച്ഛത്തോടെ കാണുന്ന ഒരാളാണ് സ്നോബ്. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പോൾ anyhow, finally the ship reached at port said. Anyhow, we find here the details of the character Job Smith. She was the chief among the social promoters on the ship, and she was a snob and a bore one. She was also a thrusting person. Though she was over 30 years old, she smartly dressed to look younger. She had no respect for the working class. She always kept a contemptuous look for the working class. ഈ ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്ന സാധാരണക്കാരുടെ വക്ക് പരിഹാസമാണ്, പുച്ഛമാണ്. അത് നമുക്ക് ഹസനോടുള്ള അവരുടെ പ്രതികരണത്തിൽ വ്യക്തമായി മനസ്സിലാവും. And she considered ugly and dark-skinned human beings as animals. വെള്ളക്കാരന് തൊലി വെളുത്തതാണ്. ഇന്ത്യക്കാർ പൊതുവേ ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്ന സാധാരണക്കാരൊക്കെ കറുത്ത സ്കിന്നിൻ്റെ ഉടമകളാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് പുച്ഛമാണ്. So she even considered them as animals or apes. She had not any sympathy for the Indian workers. Her arrogance prompted her to indirectly call Hassan an ape. അപ്പോൾ ഇവളുടെ ആ ഒരു ആഢ്യത്ത മനോഭാവം കൊണ്ടാണ്, ആ പുച്ഛ മനോഭാവം കൊണ്ടാണ് ഇവൾ ഹസ്സനെ എയ്പ്പ് എന്നുവരെ വിളിക്കുന്നത്. Anyhow, we see the travelers reach at the port set. Then they try to buy things like shawls, cigarettes, scent, jewelry, etc. And now they reach at the Red Sea. Okay, my children. Now we are winding up today's class. Hope that you have got a good idea about our discussion. Remember, we have completed the first 5 paragraphs. The entry is very important. So try to go through each and every point very carefully. Okay. Now we are winding up. So just look to the screen. A recap of today's English class. First point. Serang of Ranaganji is an anecdote by A.J. Cronin. The story is about a voyage from Liverpool to Kolkata. Ranaganji was a stout old ship manned by white British people. Fourth point. Hassan, the Indian Serang, is a squat, ugly native seaman with short legs and disproportionate head. Fifth point. A.J. Cronin is the physician of the ship. Sixth point. The passengers were mostly tourists and pleasure seekers. Seventh point. The ship was overcrowded. Last point. Job Smith is a fashionable lady who made an insulting remark about the Serang. She was a snob and a bore. Then, 2 more questions I would like to give you. Write down. The first one. Write a profile of A.J. Cronin. Then second one. Write a brief paragraph about Job Smith, her character. Okay, that's all for today. See you again. Have a nice day.